Forget I ever saw you? She nodded. Bob shifted uncomfortably. Are the police looking for you? He asked. Because if they are— No, Mila said, relieved to be telling the truth. No, I promise, it's nothing like that. I'm not a criminal. I'm just— She paused again here. I'm just someone who's trying to start over. That's all. Bob gave her a long, speculative look. So you want a fresh start? Exactly. And you don't want to bring any old baggage with you? He asked with a smile. None, she said, smiling back. Except maybe this, she amended, swinging her suitcase. Okay, that's fair, Bob said. If anyone asks, anyone not in a uniform, that is, I'll say that I've never laid eyes on you before. Thank you, Bob, Mila said gratefully, swallowing past something hard in her throat. But she caught herself. Don't you dare cry, Mila, because then he really will remember you. Besides, he can't start comforting you now. The man's got a Little League game to get to. Well, good luck, Bob said. He climbed up the rest of the steps, slid into the driver's seat, and pulled the lever that closed the bus's door. Thanks again, Mila called, relieved that the danger of her crying had subsided. Bob held up his hand to her in a goodbye gesture, started the engine, and eased the bus back onto the road. Mila watched him drive away, then dragged her suitcase over to the bench. She sat down on it, but no sooner had she done this than it began to rain. Not a hard rain, just a dull gray rain. Although it had been an unusually warm spring in Minnesota, today, the 3rd of June, was shaping up to be cool and wet. So she stood up and carried her suitcase over to the bus shelter's narrow overhang, hoping to get a little protection from the rain. It was better there, but not by much. She shivered in her thin cotton blouse and skirt and wished she'd worn something warmer, but she'd tried to dress as innocuously and as forgettably as possible, and this was the outfit she'd settled on. She saw something then out of the corner of her eye, and she flinched. But when she turned to see what it was, she realized with relief that it was nothing more than a crow alighting on a nearby telephone line. Would this ever end? She wondered. This constant looking over her shoulder, this fear always of being followed, of being discovered. She had a sinking feeling that it would not, unless the unthinkable happened, and he found her. Reid? Reid? Are you listening to me? Of course, he lied, though, in fairness to him, he had tried to listen to what his sister-in-law Allie was saying to him, but the painkillers that didn't seem to kill the pain, were making him a little foggy. He watched now as Allie lifted her 6-month-old daughter Brooke out of her stroller and settled her onto her lap. Cute baby, he thought, and almost as if she knew what he was thinking about her, Brooke wriggled in her mother's arms and smiled at him, a toothless, charming smile. And then, for an encore, she balled up her tiny fist and shoved the entire thing into her mouth. Very impressive, Reid thought. Funny how he'd never known before how entertaining babies could be. Much more entertaining than adults, he decided, as he watched Brooke suck mightily on her little fist. But apparently, while he was doing this, Allie was trying to talk to him, because now her voice intruded on him again. Reid, please try to stay with me, all right? She asked, just for a few minutes. She sounded exasperated and something else. Concerned. Reid tensed warily, because if there was anything he hated, it was being on the receiving end of concern. Do I sense a lecture coming on? He asked now, finally tearing his eyes away from the baby, and his voice even to him sounded odd, thick and cottony, as if he didn't use it that much anymore, which, of course, he didn't. A lecture? Allie asked now, raising her eyebrows. No, not a lecture, not exactly. Because that sounded to me like the beginning of a lecture, he said, reaching for the glass of ice water on the table in front of him. It was hard to reach from his wheelchair, though, especially since when he leaned too far forward, the full cast on his left leg dug into his thigh, and his still mending ribs